What's up, Zach here, and today I've got the 361 degrees Big3 4.0. This is the quick model, and I have to confess, first of all, 361 did send me these. Check out how this video is not sponsored. All opinions, good, bad, and different, all are my own. I'm gonna start saying that in my sleep. I do have to confess, I have no idea where the numbering system comes from on this line of shoes. Because it seems like the 4.0 is like more maximalist in some areas, and the 6.0, the 5.0 is like more and less in some instances. So I don't understand the numbering system on these. These are honestly a replacement for a certain shoe, which we'll get into in the fit section, that you might not be thinking of right now, but I have heard some vicious rumors about another shoe on the market that might be going the way of the dodo. So let's get into these, because they are unique from the 6 and the 5s, which is kind of, it's hard to believe you get the same line, 3 shoes shares the same line and name, and yet they're all actually pretty different with some interesting things in them. So getting into the uppers of these guys, number one, it is a ton of TPU weaving. There is multiple layers of this. So it's this mesh weave on top, and then it's a little chunkier underneath of it. The tongue is made of the same stuff that is in the forefoot. Now on top is like this iridescent TPU. That's not gonna do anything, but it looks cool. And then underneath of it is just a multi-textile and TPU, kind of this honeycombing. Good for containment, it's lightweight. I look at the breathability test, it's breathing like crazy out of everywhere, so that is really nice. The one thing that does suffer with that is a little bit of lace irritation. Now the padding up here is pretty thin. Not a lot of Big3 shoes, you get a little bit of a thinner tongue. I think that's how they try to save weight. So until the shoe does break in a little bit, you are gonna get a little bit more irritation. If you just put a piece of moleskin under here, it takes it away, but you kind of pay for some of that later uppers, right? You're gonna gotta pay for it in some way. It wasn't bad once it broke in, it was fine, but there is some lace irritation on there. The one thing you do gain with that is the heel slippage is fantastic, really none to speak of. If I really yanked at it, I got mild a little bit. And yeah, number one, that has to do with wide spaced lace eyelets, so you get a lot of surface area. There is no runner's knot in there. I guess you could put one in there. And the collar is low down here, but the collar is also super high right on the Achilles pad, and it's just nice bulky padding back there. The padding goes up pretty high, so it just locks you in. Fabric back here, once again, super premium. Like some of these shoes I've been seeing recently have really upped the game in terms of the fabric in the back of your heel. Really, really nice. So this is obviously one of them. You do get a nice gusset on the tongue, nice and high. So that's all good there. The one thing is you do get a internal plus a true external heel counter, and that thing is wide, but it's just flexible enough, right, that where it's, it actually will lock down. You see some of these external heel counters, the heel won't lock down. This one does, which is really nice. And then you do get a TPU bar up here that integrates with the uppers as well as into the midsole, and then the outsole wraps up over it, which is really nice. That double reinforcement, like, you pull it up over the seam with the lateral flange here. I know I'm getting kind of ahead of myself, but it is nice to see. This is another one. This was like the KT11 in the rear foot, where it went all the way down, crossed all the zones of the shoe. This one does up here as well. Now it is a little bit flexible, but it is long and it integrates with everything as well as the flange. So it does do a really, really nice job of, number one, maintaining a little bit of flexibility, but giving you the containment as well. So really everything in the uppers on these, to me, well thought out, slam dunk. All right, getting into the midsole teardown, see if you can guess what shoe I'm talking about this one replacing once you see the shoe opened up. Now, you do have an entire bed of Energex foam. It is a little bit more of a shock absorbing TPU or eTPU foam, sorry. You can just see it on here. It's not as glistening. It's just way softer when you put it on your foot. It just has more of that cushion, more shock absorbing feel to it. The shank is really thick. It is bottom loaded, and it actually does go into an arch, which is really nice here. And then it does integrate. You can see it kind of comes into a little bit of a leaflet here on the lateral side. So it doesn't go super long, but it's long enough, put it that way, to give you a little bit of stability there. So look at this thing on the tensiometer. It takes 65 newtons to get this thing to 45 degrees. I think a lot of that has to do actually with this TPU bar on the uppers as well as the lateral flange. I think that shanks, I don't know if it's doing as much versus more arch support, which it's doing that really well, even though it is bottom loaded. Those molded ones do give a nice combination of bottom loaded stability. Because remember, shank on the bottom, more stability, shank on the top, more arch support. When you have a molded like that on the one side, they do kind of do the best of both worlds there. On the bounce height test, this is really the telling thing. 33 in the rear foot, 32 in the forefoot. That's more what we're used to seeing with more shock absorbing ETUs, like eTPUs, like Boost or like Fuel Cell. So on this one, I would say, you know, the quick version's got the Energex. I think the Pro version has carbon fiber plus like CQT Extreme or one of the CQT foams. To me, I like this bottom loaded, and this is nylon. I'm sorry, this shank is nylon. It's not plastic, it's nylon composite, which I don't know if you've watched any of my orthotic content videos. I've kind of gone to all nylon composite orthotics versus polypropylene. I really have never done a lot of carbon fiber except in specific instances. But I've gone to the nylon because it's more durable and you can get it thinner, and it's got the same structure profile, right? It's as strong as an arch supporter, but you can make it thinner, make it lighter. So the fact they're doing a nylon shank on this, to me, is like really ticks a box for the foot doctor in me. A lot of people might not care about that, but in terms of durability plus arch support, just to me, I see a nylon composite product in a shoe where there's the arch, you know, in and around the arch, and I really like that. So yeah, in terms of the midsole, I would rather have the nylon composite bottom loaded shank versus the carbon fiber, but I think in terms of like, you know, do you like the 6.0, or I'm sorry, the 4.0, the quick or the pro version? That's kind of beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Are we getting into the outsole tread of the fours? Surprisingly, I liked this pattern a lot. I didn't think I was going to. This is a concentric pattern around the big toe. So you have this cutout here, which actually there is foam under there. So that's the one part of the shoe I could see kind of breaking down in terms of durability. And then you just got broken up concentric patterns, more linear, you know, just linear broken up lines there. And then you have kind of a modified sunburst, herringbone, if you want to call it over here. It's a little bit shallow. So the one thing though is this translucent rubber is micro-gridded on the outcroppings, on the herringbone. On the concentric pattern here, right on the circles, it's micro-gridded underneath. So it's really interesting for dust pickup. So on the grip test ramp, this does not slip until 48 degrees. It is, and I mean, I kind of jarred it a little bit too and still didn't move, just on accident. And so, yeah, that's nice. Put it in the dust box, and yeah, the micro gridding on both spots does hold on to dust, right? So dust gets picked up in between, but not on top. And then on here it does. A wipe down actually did pretty well on this. Slips at 32 degrees after a dusting. That is a big difference, right? So you probably are gonna want to keep, like, this is where you're gonna wanna keep clean. Actually, I don't think this had a lot of issues, to be honest. This part of the tread, it was mostly the translucent rubber, so you are going to want to keep that wiped down. But it seems like I'm being hypocritical, because 32 degrees is actually better than I think almost every other shoe I've done. I have to look, but I think it's better. But it is like, it's just a big chasm between 48 when they're clean and 32 when they've got the dust box. So just keep that in mind. If you keep them wiped down and keep them on clean court, you're going to have pretty sharp grip. Now, the good thing about that is 48 degrees on the grip test ramp is pretty tacky. So if you do want a little more forgiveness on there, the dust, it's not going to ruin anything. I noticed with these, even after on dust on these things, they grab just fine. Right, they just had a little bit of forgiveness, like another shoe that might be going away. A little bit of forgiveness, but they were still confident. So that's why I said this, I really like the grip. And it's got a super long flange made of outsole rubber that comes up over this TPU bar here. Like I said, this is fine for containment, but it's more that it's the long flange made of strong outsole rubber that comes up over this. Now the durometer on this one comes in at 17.5. It's not super hard rubber, but as we know, it doesn't really matter anymore. You look at it on the durability test, belt stand, whatever you want to call it now. No, I did not lose any ounces. I did not lose any grams on this. The scale, the other one is supposed to be coming, my more sensitive scale. But we've gotten almost 2 feet of snow here, and everything is delayed. A bunch of other shoes I was supposed to be getting, they're delayed too. So I don't know when to get the scale. But anyway, if you look at it, I mean, there's really nothing doing here The one spot that there is something doing though is that circle around where that foam is. And so that is where I could see an issue. So this would have been a 5 out of 5 durability, because really anywhere there's tread, it just cleaned it off, which is fantastic, except right here. And so I worry about this kind of, if this starts ripping or delaminating. So that would be the only thing I could see that would take this away from a 5 out of 5 durability, especially because midsole durability is going to be just fine there too. So that is kind of the only blemish I saw on this outsole tread, which is otherwise, honestly, was a pleasant surprise. All right, but getting into the fit of the 4.0s, number one, these things are long. They come in at 29.5 centimeters of usable length, and then a forefoot height of 5.6 centimeters. That's the highest forefoot I have seen yet. Big everywhere. Then you've got 10.2 centimeters metatarsal width, only 10 of toe box width. You actually do lose 2 millimeters, but it is so wide, it's really kind of hard to complain about. But then the taper is only 33 degrees. It's super mellow. And if you look at the insole on these things, you can kind of see it on the insole. It's a little more squared off up there. So it is a little bit more mellow up there. So it's just that one little spot between the metatarsals and the toes. Everything else winds out really nicely. Heel width of 8 centimeters even. So nice wide base on there. These are big. So I'd say narrow medium foot, you can go down a half size, get that length reduction. You're still gonna be decent in terms of width, still gonna be wide. A 2E, if you don't mind a little bit of length, just go true to size, right? And they're super comfortable, no break-in. 4E, if you're comfortable going true to size, just go true to size. Might be a minute of break-in, but it's kind of a nice, just wider fitting shoe right off the bat, which is, to me, it's nice because we're so few wide fitting shoes anymore that I can reliably recommend to people that aren't tanks. And like I said, these aren't the most lightweight shoes in the market, but they're also not, 18, 19 ounce tanks for an 11. In terms of flat, neutral, and high, I'm sure you know I'm gonna say, yep, just fine. Ankle sprainers, yeah, fantastic, especially if you go down a half size. These are really good for ankle sprainers if you can get down that half size. Plantar fasciitis, absolutely. Achilles tendonitis, absolutely. Nice, stable rear foot. Forefoot pain, yeah, I think they're just fine. I think that they give enough support there. I think that's fine. Arch pain, yeah, for sure. I mean, you look at the thing, I mean, look how much room this orthotic has in here. Like, that is crazy how much room that has. So yeah, no problem at all with arch support on it in general because of the arch right there, sorry, right here, or being able to hold an orthotic. Big toe arthritis, yeah, I think they're okay, they're fine. Knee, hip, and back pain, yeah, sure, they're fine. Like I said, any of those shock absorbing, more kind of dense ETPU foams are really gonna do well. Same with the more dense EVAs. So have you guessed what shoe I'm talking about? What these I think can replace? It's the New Balance two-way V5 that everyone says is not gonna do a V6. Now I hope we're wrong, because there's an annoying trend in the basketball and tennis shoe space these days where once something really good comes out, the company decides, hey, let's change everything about it or discontinue it and put something out there that nobody has asked for. And so I really hope that is not the case. But if it is, here you go. This would be, if someone said like, hey, what could I get? Well, in terms of the fit profile, these fit like a 2E. In terms of the shape of them, these remind me a lot of a two-way type line in terms of the shock absorption and everything like that, and the protection of joint, and be able to fit orthotics, and they lock down really well. Yeah, these. The fact that they're pretty good outdoors and really durable indoors, this would have been better than the 2As except for this thing right here. And so all in all, they kind of just, put it this way, this is what I'm gonna be telling people if New Balance decides to get rid of that line, which hopefully they don't, but if they do, I've answered the question. This is what I would be recommending. So it's nice to know we have an option. But I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments down below. Do you think these are a good replacement for the 2As? Let me know what you think down below. And if you do want to see another brand new 361 shoe, it just came out, the BioSpeed BB2. Make sure you click into this video right here. Make sure you check out the Xenon Zen slide down below, shoe customization, lower leg taping ebook down below, and my brand new web-based app, courtshoefinder.com. It's a free app, helps you decide what's the best shoe for you just by filling out a few questionnaires. All right, make sure you subscribe down below too. See you in the next video.